Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to talk about HTML. How do you build website using plain simple HTML? HTML is not new. It is being there since day one of the web. So web started with text-based interface, which means that through browser, you'll be able to read text and then started working towards beautifying those text in many different ways. So we'll see the concept here and we'll see tools we can use and some basic tags. So let's jump into the URL. So you can see that there is an URL at the bottom and that's where everything you might need are available. So let me share my website. So that's the portal. So that's the same URL where you can go and get the same thing. And in this URL, you have got various different sections available for HTML, for CSS, so on and so forth. The work is in progress. So you will see as the day progresses, you will find a lot more new um, resources. So this is the HTML day one, which is available. So I basically picked a few tags, not everything, so that you get an idea how to get started. So let's see how we can use these tags and build a website on our own. So whenever you open any browser, for example, this browser, there is something which comes up and you can see that it has got a blue color, it is a black, bold, big, and then you have got dots, and then there is a table-like thing, right, which have a row and column, and you have data in that. So there are various different things in the browser showing up. Now, using HTML, we can build something like this. Now, to build HTML, you don't need anything. What you need is a simple notepad in Windows. So if you're working on Windows and you have a notepad by default available in Windows, you can use that notepad, right? So what you can do, you can just save this notepad as .html file. So let me put it in the temp directory and say home.html. So if I have that home.html in my temp directory and I open this home.html from temp, and then I say temp slash home.html. You can also go into that folder and try opening it. Now let me run them side by side. If you see here, this is my blank notepad, and that's where I can write a simple HTML tag that is h1, and I say hello, and then I say h1. I'll talk about this tag a little later, but let us just save this work. And once you save this work in the file, and then you already have opened this file in the browser and refresh it, it'll start reflecting the code. Now, if you don't write this h1, h2 and say hello all, what happens, it just simply shows the text in your browser. So everything you write in the file will show up, but if you need to do formatting, then you have to use the HTML tags. As you have noticed that HTML tag starts with something like this, and you provide the tag name like h1. And it also starts with same thing with a / before the tag name. And that's when you say all are welcome. If I say something like this and I save it and I refresh this, and you can see that hello all shows up, and then all are welcome with a line space comes up as a big bold thing. Now, like that, you can keep adding tags and you can keep working on Notepad. Notepad is a great way to learn when you are learning something new, right? Because it will force you to type everything on your own. It will not have a statement completion. It will not help you get the tag as you want, right? So it will all you have to have your mind and then write. It's like a simple notebook where you can write your mathematical calculation on your own by using pen and paper, right? So that's the way it is. So I recommend that you use this approach to learn the initial days, and then later point in time, use this expertise or knowledge to build in something professional, where you don't have to really focus too much on the tags, but to focus towards on where to put what, right? So I'll show you another tool which I prefer to use. I use something called a Visual Studio Code. Now, Visual Studio Code is a freely available tool, and you go to code.visualstudio.com. That's the portal where you can go there and open and download it for Windows, and you just click and it'll download, right? So let me show you the URL here. Um, let me quickly share this thing. If I come back into this, and let's say you can see that it's bit increased. So let me try to increase the font size, but it is this one. I just wanted to show you that. Maybe I can put it on my notepad. So let me put it over here, and then you will be able to see the URL. So that's the URL. Fairly simple. Go there, download it for whatever operating system you're using. So if it is Windows, it'll be Windows version. If it is Linux, it will have a Linux version, and Mac OS. So it works on all three platforms. And it's a freely available, very lightweight. You just go ahead and download it. I have done that. So let me open the tool. So I'll say that Visual Studio Code, and it opens in my machine. So let me open it up, and I'll just take it here. Okay, this is the tool it looks like. Now you can either open a file or you can open a folder. So if you say I want to open a file, and you know that I created a file in the desktop temp called home.html, and it opens the file over here. I can see that it's black in color. So let me change the color to white. Uh, okay. And then what it also gives me an ability is a live preview. So with a live preview, I get a benefit of not opening a browser and then trying to refresh it. So what I can do now, I can say that, hey, I have used H1. So let's use something called H2. Now notice here the experience. It gives me statement completion. It ends the tag automatically for me. And I say heading 2. And I don't have to refresh it. I save it and refresh it. So it's just the automatic one. So every time I write something, it'll immediately reflect and I could see what is happening. So it's very convenient for me to really work on. So you can see that I can go like this. So I can say heading 3, and it becomes heading 3. So so on and so forth. You have multiple different size and shape of the heading. Now, if you have to write a paragraph, let's say I am very happy to share HTML today. So if I do that, and then I want to have 2 lines. Okay, if I put 2 lines and I say, hope you have enjoyed it. Now notice here, it's not getting me a line break. It is continuing the line from where I left after today dot, and then it starts from there. Though it is 2 different lines, even if I add additional lines, it's still the same. Okay. In HTML, to explicitly add a line break, we use a tag called BR. BR is a line break. Now, the moment I add the BR tag, you can see that 1 line gets added, and then I add 1 more BR to 3 BR, and the line keeps increasing in my HTML output. So to add a line break, you need to use a BR, right? And let's say I have got enough line breaks here. And then what also another way of dealing this kind of thing is that you can put it in a paragraph. So if you consider like it is a big set up multiple sentences, and then you get a paragraph over here. So if you say something like this, okay, you notice here these two are now in the same line, but the moment you put it inside a paragraph tag, it becomes an independent paragraph. And then the second one, obviously, you need to explicitly mention it as a paragraph, because then if you continue anything after that, it'll have a continuation if you don't say a paragraph. So paragraph generally contains more than one sentences. So in that case, it'll look like a real paragraph. Um, there are multiple different kind of this kind of like things available. So if you notice my reading portal, which is here. So let me just open it in a separate tab. Okay. And you notice here that I have got a lot of tags. So I talked about H1 and it goes up to H6. So you cannot have H7. So up to H6, you can define the tag. And then we talked about paragraph, we talked about line break. But what I did not talk about, like what you need to do a little bit of formatting inside the line itself. For example, if I go back into my editor, let's use editor, that's a better experience. And then if you say that, hey, you know what, let me do something like this. So I'll use paragraph and the paragraph here, and I say that my name is, and I want to make this name as a bold letter. So to make it bold, you can use either B tag, and then you finish it off after the word you want to make it bold. You can see that it is becoming now bold. And then I say, I live in India. If I want to make India identified by putting, let's say, underscore. So line below, I can use U as an underscore, and then me put it over here. Now there'll be a line below India. You can see that it's getting reflected, right? You can also say that I like to read books. If I want to make it a little tilted, we call it italics. We can use I, and you can say that, hey, I want to make this a little tilted. So if I do that, now you can see that I like to read books showing up as a little tilted. So let me not allow this to happen. Break. And by the way, since it came as a capital, I wanted to also notice tell you that the tag name can be both small and capital. It is case insensitive. That means you don't need to really maintain a specific thing. But if you are writing a bigger HTML file, do maintain a specific type. So if you are using small, use small everywhere. If you use capital everywhere. Just make sure that you are consistent in that matter. Right, so you can see that now I like to read books become a little tilted. That's italics. And I want to highlight this book part as highlighter, right? So I can say mark. If I say mark and then say books, what happens? The books becomes highlighted, right? So whatever this mark is wrapping around, if it is a line, the whole line will be highlighted. If it is a word, it will be highlighted. So either way, you can use this kind of thing to make sure. Now, after, let's say this one, before this one, let's say before this one, I'm going to put horizontal line. So you can say that something like I want to have a divider. So I just draw a line in between. So you can see that the line comes up. The horizontal line is HR, and you can see that. Now you know that the scientific sign of the symbol of water in chemistry is H2O. where the 2 shows up a little down. So if you have to write something like that, you can't simply say H2O and it doesn't show the way you want to show it. So let's put a break over here, break. And then if I want to show this as something which I supposed to write, so I can say sub to and then this. Now it becomes H2O. Similarly, you know that we have got something called square or cube. So if you have to show something like that, like a square or cube, what you can do, you can basically, let's say 2 into 2 is 2 square. So if you have to say 2 and then a little 2 on top of the 2, you have to say superscript. So what we did earlier is a subscript and this is superscript, and it can be 2, 3, 4, anything. So it becomes 2 square. So that's how you basically can write something which is not normal otherwise. So you can do these things in Word pretty easily, right? Using this formatting option. In HTML also you can achieve this, but you need to write some extra things into your HTML file, which basically gets rendered into your browser as the formatted text. So when you see things in the browser, right, you don't see things the way you have written in HTML. So browser translates them into something which is meaningful to the browser, right? You don't need to really show an end user the thing which is not relevant to them. So let me refresh this. And you can see that it's showing up in the browser. Now I'm opening it from the browser, not from Visual Studio Code. Now it is exactly the same thing which I have written in the Visual Studio Code. And what Visual Studio Code shows me as the preview is showing up here in my browser as is. So that's a little bit about this thing. So you can see that I have got few tags mentioned. So it's good for practice. What you can also think about is doing some, coming up with some sort of nice looking thing. So what I try to do over here at the below, I pasted a picture. So this is a picture. This is not HTML. And then you can see that it has got some text. So it's different format, and I have got bold, italics, underline, something like that. And then also I have got something like bold and italics. And then I have got few line breaks, and maybe something like a sign of water. And then what is 2 square looks like, right? So we can have these kind of things in our thing. You can try building up an HTML file which looks something similar. You don't have to go exactly as is, but come up with something which has got all the things. So all the tags which you talked about are here in the day one. So just to let you know how you can navigate here. So you land to the main page, which is link is given to the description of the video, and you come to this HTML basic and go to the day one to land here. So that's the day one, right? Hope you have enjoyed this and have a great day.